Good evening, good evening. I'm in from the cold, but warming it up here in the studio just for you and the Vintage House crew. DJ Lori Branch, Lauren Lowry, our Vintage House Spotlight crew, DJ Mo Mami, our producer Justin Alexander, and of course, Vintage House Spotlight After Dark with DJ Carl Jenkins. It's the Vintage House crew bringing you the Thanksgiving Eve vibes with our special guest, Steve Miggedy Maestro. Let's go.
Sound Bender, Beach Raiders, St. Cats. Come on. God only knows what I've been through. God only knows more than me and you. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows where I've been. God only knows how much I've sinned. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. Yeah. JB said. God only knows how much I've been hurt. God only knows I've been drugged through the dirt. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows how much I lost. God only knows the cost to be a boss. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. Get mad. Come on. And I want to say, I would say, God only knows how far I've come. God only knows my job's not done. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows I'm still on call. God only knows for all of y'all. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. God only knows. That's bad. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Steve Miggedy Maestro, bringing the heat. Your main man Mega. Let's go, let's go.
The 90s was very special. In the 90s. In the 90s. In the 90s. In the 90s. The 90s was very special. In the 90s. Check that mic, make sure it sound right, boy. Check that mic, make sure it sound right, boy. The 90s was very special. Check that mic, make sure it sound right, boy. Check that mic, make sure it sound right, boy. The 90s was very special. Bassy, 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 bassy. The 90s was very special. Bassy, 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 bassy,
the real thing. It is the Vintage House Show, the premier talk show on the culture, business, and history of house music. We're housing it up with Steve Miggedy Maestro here on WNUR.
Into another classic episode of the Vintage House Show, the premier talk show documenting the business and history of house music.
Don't hurt him, Steve. Don't hurt him.
again. I two by one talk again. If I deny you, you will say you punish me. If I did punish you, everybody punish me. If I did punish me, everybody punish me. I read down for you. I see some I said to you. Welly, you. Punish me. If I did punish me, everybody punish me. If I did punish me, I read down for you. I see some myself in you.
This is JB McCauley, DJ, author and editor of Switched On Music. You're tuned in to another classic episode of Vintage House with hosts DJ Laurie Branch, Kevin Mega McFall and Lauren Louder.
One more song, and we're sitting down with the man, Steve Miggedy Maestro. We'll get his take on the holidays. We'll hear about his new upcoming album. And of course, we'll talk house, culture, business, and history. Let's go, let's go. Listening to Steve Miggedy Maestro on WNUR and the Vintage House Show. Your main man Mega. We're going to sit down in about 2 minutes with Steve and hear about his new album and his take on the holidays, so stay tuned. WNUR 89.3 FM Evanston, Chicago in HD1. We're getting real funky with it. Funky, funky. With this guy. One of the masters, indeed. The ones and twos. And on the console, this man has been producing and writing and producing and remixing and bringing the heat. We're going to hear about it in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
You about ready? I'm gonna echo out.
Okay. All right. That was a hot fire pre-Thanksgiving mix from Steve Miggedy Maestro exclusively for us here on the Vintage House Show. Woo, man. I can't even I lost my voice on that when I was hollering back here. Thank you, Steve, for that. Come on and join us over at the console so we can get into a little bit of discussion. We're going to get some insights here on Steve's new album, a little bit about what's been going on with him, and a lot of insight about what's happening with him and his holidays. So come on and join us. All right, there he is.
What it do? Yeah, B. Round. What's happening?
Oh, we don't have him on air. That's the problem. Oh, there you go.
1 2. What it do? What it do? Shout town.
So Mega is producing, hosting, all that tonight, live streaming. But thank you, everyone who has joined us tonight on air, WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1, on twitch.tv, The Vintage House Show, on the Vintage House Show Facebook page, and make sure that you sign up to follow us on TikTok for special behind-the-scenes content that we're bringing you as added extra experience of the Vintage House Show. We are the premier talk show covering the history, business, and culture of house music. We tell it like it is, and we hear from those who were there, who've contributed, and who are continuing to impact the genre. And again, tonight's guest is Steve Miggedy Maestro. What's up, Steve?
What's happening, man?
I'm done with all of the rigmarole, and I want to hear from you. I want those tuned in to be able to hear about what's happening with your Thanksgiving, first of all.
Holidays, I kind of use them for the purpose of family. That's about it. Just making sure we stay connected.
That's a powerful, powerful piece and important theme, because that's what's really most important, right? Is our family. They are our legacy, our ancestry,
Yeah,
our heritage.
with or without the holidays. So yeah, family is definitely you know very very important.
Well, I will ask, do you indulge at all in the kitchen?
No, I stay out the kitchen.
You and me
stick,
both.
I stick to the strengths. So garbage, mop, wash dishes. I got you on all the heavy stuff. But the cooking, that's all lady department. I stay out of her department when she does her thing. I come in,
Shout her out.
I get a drink of water. Shout out to Lady Lorana, my baby. I go get a drink of water, my drink of wine, and I'm out. I don't want no smoke.
Well, I do try to get in there and do a little sous chefing, but yeah, I'm not a chef
Nope.
myself.
I stick to my my strengths.
I can relate, but I'm looking forward to also consuming some good food.
Gotta come. Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying, but especially for their sake, you gotta come by the crib.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you see, and what's interesting, you got two pretty slim fit brothers here in the studio tonight. So you wouldn't think perhaps that we like to eat, but
it's how much you eat and when you eat. That's the trick. So everybody try to whop it off in 3 big meals. No, that's not the way to do it. Nothing's gonna get done. I knock off about 5 or 6 of them joints. They'll be little small plates, right? Because majority of my day is spent, at the board.
Yes.
Making music or whatever. So I really don't. To sit down and have dinner means that okay, the factory is shut down. Ain't no more work getting done today. So I stick to the small plates. But yeah, I get out.
All right, all right.
Out.
You heard the holiday. We'll just call it what it is, because a lot of people.
Food and family.
Yes, the food and family holiday with Steve Maestro. We're getting it in. He's graced us with some time here in the studio tonight. If you missed the set, it was, of course, fire. So we thank you for that. You want to talk a little bit about what you included in that?
Well, we might as well just go on into it. So, when I first got into music, I always wanted to be one out of 2 things: either a producer or a graphic artist. The DJing thing was a side hustle.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was really trying to focus on being like Quincy Jones, Bob Clearmountain, people like that. And what ended up happening is, like, how Jamie Foxx, his idea of getting in, he wanted to sing. And Jokes was a byproduct, but it just so happens to get in on the jokes, and then the singing came later. So kind of the same thing happened with me. But instead of putting all on Steve Miggedy Maestro, I think that I needed a couple of pseudonyms to kind of balance off the amount of work that I was putting out. I was putting out a lot of work, from 2008 up until now. So I wanted to separate Steve Miggedy Maestro, radio DJ, and then bring in this new person, Mortimer Snerd III, which is that's my disco chop name. That's what I use for do all my disco rebrubs and retouches. So it went from that to Belizean Voodoo Priest, because at the time Afro House was starting to pop off. You know what I'm saying? So again, I wanted another identity for each type of music I was doing, instead of putting it all on Steve Miggedy Maestro and confusing a whole bunch of people. Like, what does he do? Does he do house? Does he do disco? Does he do trap? What does he do? So all these little compartments kind of make up to.
So what I'm hearing, and my takeaway from it, Steve, is that you became a branding expert in the same course of being able to deliver these incredible flavors of music that represent different personas of who you are.
Prince was the biggest inspiration for me. far as using a pseudonym. You know, at least having people wonder, is that really somebody else or completely fooling somebody? Like I got friends who'll be like, yo, they think Mortimer Snerd is some cat from the UK.
Well, with a name like Mortimer Snerd,
You see what I'm saying? With the name,
right.
there's no color to it. So that's my new nickname now on the street. People who see me is Morte, Mortimer. Yeah,
That's dope.
Yeah, it's,
Tell me a little bit about the Belizean priest.
well, so my parents are from Belize. So me and my sister and all my cousins are all first generation American born Belizean people. So that kind of it was kind of easy. You know what I mean? And again, I was into trying to separate all this work that I was doing. And then I came up with Sir Soundbender. And so I came up with that because I always articulated people who work within sound. They're really, really good sound benders as opposed to DJs, artists, producers, and engineers. And there's some people who can do 3 or 4 of them all at one time. And they specialize in DJing or whatever. So that's why I call it the sound bender guy. And then the beat traders is the combination of the priest and the bender and the snerd and maestro. So excuse me. If we ever go out on tour, then I'm not just employ three other my guys. We're just gonna put on masks and call it the beat trade. I don't know. Marketing.
You know, yeah. Put me on. I'll be in there.
With the mask on.
Yeah, with the mask. So we've just created our own version of the Masked Singer. It's called the House Masked Singer.
Yeah. Beat traders, sponsored by Miggedy Entertainment.
Love it. Well, you handle it well. You're juggling and still bringing the creativity. Talk to us about this upcoming project that has dropped recently.
Yeah, so I was playing a couple cuts off there when I started off with the first four songs. So so it started off with me doing, okay, first of all, COVID hit. That was the number one thing, right? It brought me back to my center of producing and musician. Because I'm a musician also. I started off playing guitar when I was 6 and piano at 10, and everything else came in after high school when Prince came into my life. So I was bringing all of that back. So I started with a project with my guy in high school named Anthony Carter. We were both in a high school band called Intimacy together. So I did an EP for him. I did all the music and he did all the singing, and we just bounced ways back and forth and put that out. Then I was talking with Carla Prather, shout out Carla, my girl.
Guest of and friend of Vintage House as well.
Absolutely, she's
phenomenal,
working sister, man. Because she's I think she's on tour right now with Toy Dog Underground, and then she has a slew of house songs that she's got put out like every day. And then we did an R&B album together because that's her first love. So this was, you know, when you have somebody that's well versed in their craft to the point where it doesn't become work when you do work. So I would come up with music, and she would come through and write lyrics to it, and we would lay it down and mix it down, and oh, that sounds too bad. And then it was just a process. And we kept doing that for like 3-4 months until we got this nice little album. Now I'm holding the album until we get like 2 more videos. But that is what drove me to do my own album, because a lot of this stuff, I know I was getting to it. A lot of stuff that I was doing a lot of disco chops. So even though I'm paying for that through Harry Fox Agency, that's still not my work. You know what I mean? It's just a re-rub of somebody else's work, or James Brown, or whatever. So I went to the process of writing my own music.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And producing it and all that other stuff. And, you know, and taking my time with it, because usually one a week I'm out. I was working on one tonight, but I was like, let me hold up for the holidays and finish it up Friday or whatever. But that was the purpose of putting out this album. I was lacing everybody else. I was like, you know what? I need to do a Quincy Jones type of move and do one for myself type of thing. So the album,
in the garden.
The album, yeah. See what I'm saying? You know, I love people like that who can take a pool of talent and then create something like out of this world, crazy. That Secret Garden, that whole Back on the Block thing. Oh, Quincy Jones.
Absolutely the man.
So that was the concept of putting this album together. And So I put it out on my Bandcamp page, but it doesn't drop until January 1st. For that reason, so I can go around the radio stations to do my
To do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this is all of this is familiar from my GCI days when I used to sit in with Rick Party
Yeah.
and Cartier and watch them do interviews and watch Mike Love and the Diz do interviews and Gene Sparrow and them. So all of this is the whole process of being an artist to come in and talk about your work with somebody who's familiar with your work.
And a fan. I'm fanboying over here.
So that's what it's turned into. So I got a couple more radio shows that I'm going to do. The same type of.
Well, you know, we were super honored, of course, that you decided to hit us up.
Y'all the first one.
And drop it first here on the Vintage House Show, of course. Some of our audience members have a couple of questions. Given that you're going to have an album release, and we talked a little bit about this tour thing, how optimistic are you about being able to get out there in 2022 and be, you know, performing for large audiences?
That's the plan. So this company that I work for with my guy DJ Fink is DEC.TV and digimixdjs.com. It's all the same company. So we're in a situation where we go to Vegas starting next month, twice a month, and we'll have, you know, artists perform, and then the DJs will come in and play in between. So we had the last transmission. We had Emery, we had Dwale, we had Tortured Soul. So the whole theme of it is, you know, the whole neo soul / soulful house, Afro house type of layout, and we had like 9 million viewers the last transmission. So that's the plan. Is next year once I get my head together, because I got to remember lyrics.
The life of a performer.
Doing dance steps and all kinds of stuff in Achanasian. Me. All that crap. I got to remember all that. So more than likely next year, February, you'll start seeing me on the road doing some stuff.
And besides Vegas, what are some of the other cities that you'd like to
Vegas
perform
is the first one we're hitting on. We got a tour coming up. We're going to hit South Africa and Dubai at the end of this month. So all of that is, you know, as we go along type of situation. We just did Colorado. I know we're going back to Germany, Italy, and somewhere else. So that's all of that's.
I did say I would be one of the personas that if you needed, you know, a stand-in, right?
When that budget comes in for that record, I'm gonna get your mask fitted.
My man. So you've been here on the show before.
Yep.
You've talked about house music and the state of house music. You know, it's November 2021. Give us an update. How are you feeling about the continued evolution of the genre, the players, the music? Talk to us a little bit about that.
You know, what I'm enjoying is seeing a lot more kids out playing, not just house, but just turntablism in general. Because when we were kids, when I first started, it was all about Fisher Price and one turntable. Like, yeah.
Give me a year. Help us set some context.
I'm a 67 baby.
Okay.
So up until first 11 years of my life, that's all it was. And then the 1200 came in, and then that's when everything changed. You know what I mean? The record style changed, and you had to get 2 of them, and then you had to dedicate yourself to doing that if that's what you wanted to do in your life. So, and then I was 12, 13. You know, trying to go after this grown-up kind of thing. So what I like about it now is I see a lot of girl DJs are popping up, and young boys between 9 and 13, and then they're being taught by their parents, who are also house heads. So it's kind of like reinforcing the love type of situation. So that part I like a lot. I'm also liking that a lot of the people who are responsible are starting to put their story on tape and on video. for everyone else to see, because everyone has their perspective and their journey and their point of entry of house music for them and where it ended up. Like now we're doing businesses, we're touring,
Yes.
overseas, and we got branding situations, and the fact that it's still respected and not corrupted like they did hip hop. Hip hop, they found a way to corrupt it, and they took the nutrients out, and they just left the bass, and they left the highs, and then everything else was whatever.
So some might say, and I'm not of the stance, but we've had a lot of conversations. Some might say that that's reflected in what some forms of EDM are today,
True.
relative to house.
True. But here's the thing about that is that, like I said, they couldn't corrupt it. So there's certain
appropriation is probably a term that could be used.
there was certain elements in hip hop that once they took it out, it's not hip hop anymore. Now it's trap. You understand? So when they correct, and same thing with house, when they took the warmth out and made it all shiny, and then put an industry behind it, it became EDM. That's what I call arena music, and I guess it
I like that term.
Right?
It's very apropos.
Absolutely. And then the way they position DJs, they position them in artists in an artist mode. So the DJ who's used to making mistakes because he's doing it live doesn't worry about making mistakes. It's all pre-recorded. Just like if it was an artist singing to a track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that element, the show element, all right, but there's a warmth that's missing. That makes house music.
Here, I've got to go in on this with you a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's call it what it is. The soul of the music is out of it, right? When
the instruments and the sweat and the humanism of record falling off beat, all of that is gone. So so with house, and that's especially why I like house music in its current form right now, because there's still elements of jazz. And there's still elements of soul
and Latin rhythms.
Latin, absolutely. Yeah. And all of that's still encompassing in the floor. But you can throw rap on top of it, and it's still cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And what it is it's another piece of the puzzle for the DJ to provide the scope of the night for you. It's like the songs of fruit, and then you're the chef, and you do what you do with that. And everybody can't make the same sauce as you.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So
that unique creativity is certainly what I think I hear you saying and agree with. That's what helps the music that we know and love and create to continue to flourish.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So within that, there's certain rules that should be followed. It's like cooking. There's certain things, peanut butter and steak, they're great, but not together. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't had peanut butter on your steak, brother?
And I don't mean a little bit of everything, bro. And that's one thing, two things that ain't never come up. So you to know the combinations that go well will make your night and make the transfer your happiness to them.
And I like that metaphor because it reminds me of chemistry as well, right?
Yes.
Cooking is really a set of chemical processes to bring out flavor. Mm-hmm. And we could say the same for an experience of a writer, producer, remixer going into the studio and bringing, those ingredients of beats and harmonies and melodies and warmth and octaves and
all of that. Not everybody can put that together. You know what I mean? And make it sound like a finished product.
It is a craft. So talk to us, because I heard you say you're a musician. Yeah. Are you formally trained?
Yeah. So I went to music lessons around. I used to live around Nova Square. I used to live in that building, Ashland Division in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So the crossroads.
Yep. So around the way, there's this place called PZ House of Music, and that's where I was learning acoustic guitar when I was a kid, like 6 years old. So I went from that to Old Town School of Folk Music on Armitage.
Absolutely.
And then print came into my life, and then that was that. All I'll do was listening to records and trying to copy bass lines and guitar lines and stuff like that. So, and then house music well, I won't say house. I'll call it. I don't even know what you would call it, but the style of music that they were playing, I guess you would call it electro funk, right?
Where were you hearing this music played? Was it
WBMX.
okay?
Big
So
time,
on the
'cause
radio.
I was too young. I was too young. I was too small. I was too dark. I was too shy to go to any of these parties that were happening. But I had older cousins that went to Our Lady and Lindley. So they used to bring back tapes to the house where we used to have our, holiday get-togethers. We learned how to play faces and all of the college games. So while they were doing that, I was studying them tapes to find out what was going on with this music. So it's not my dad's music; it was my music because I went to go and sought. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Martin Circus and Patrick Cowley and Van Parrish and all these
Sylvester and so we're talking a little bit of disco and soul R&B.
Yeah.
Look, we very often get bogged down with the titles, but we know that titles, genres, these things help us put some of the conversation in context.
Correct.
Right?
When it comes to especially time, you're talking about the proper time, like Patrice Rushen and all those records that were happening now. 79 to 80,
yes,
81. It was all my money was gone. Those records.
Where I was gonna ask, where'd you shop?
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere they were selling gold blats. I remember Community back in the day used to have a record department
on 87th Street. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
yeah.
Anywhere where they were selling records, that's
down the street from that was Metro Music.
Yeah. Mundo.
Yeah. Polk Brothers even had some records back.
Did. And so did Goldblatts had some. Man, it's just wherever that could find records at, I was getting it. I went to Whitney Young, right?
All right, we got a Dolphin in the house.
Yeah, 81 to 85. So
Dolphins represent.
Right. We used to take a train from school and get off at Jackson, walk over to Loop, and walk over to Imports, and then back over to McDonald's, and then I would walk home because I hadn't spent my lunch money for the week on getting vinyl. I was committed to that, to learning that craft.
Those were the days, though, and you could, spend your money, do digging in the crates.
And then everyone around us was doing it at the time too.
It was a phenomenon.
Yes. And it wasn't. And a lot of people think it was just the South Side. It wasn't that, because WBMX lit such a fuse under everybody's behind that if we weren't part-time working at Jules, we collected cans. We were doing whatever we can to come up with at least half for a turntable and something for a mixer. We were really rubber banding and all of that.
I tell you, things are certainly different today, but what there are two big things we always talk about as DJs that are significantly different. Yeah. One, you're not carrying heavy ass crates around, and you only have to buy one copy of a record. That's very true. Or of a song today, of a digital file, instead of having to buy two copies, and then if you lost one because they magically disappeared from your crate, you'd have to replace it.
Friends. How many of us have them?
Oh man.
So there is that. There is also a thing where more DJs need to study the music that they play, in my opinion. I think some people get caught up into pleasing your public to a fault, where you only hear 20 records at a set party. And house is much bigger than that. Way bigger than that. And I'm not mad at these 20 records, but it can't be every party that you run to those 20 records. So I deduced it as maybe they might be a little afraid of their audience walking off the floor if they put on something new, if they're not so sure about their pick, But my philosophy, this is personal, my philosophy has always been, as long as they don't leave the building, we all right. I don't mind a cleared floor. It doesn't bother me. As long as they go to the bar, as long as they go to the bathroom, they move around. I'll bring them back. I'll bring him back to the floor. But it has to be a give and take type of situation. Like everything that we know wasn't old. At some point, it was new, right?
Yes, yes, I'm with you. I'm just trying to reconcile this a little bit because DJs, and we talked about this earlier in the segment, are have been elevated to performers or
True.
artists.
Yep.
And then you were talking about earlier that you also you dance, you perform, you sing. You're an artist as well as a performing DJ.
Yeah.
So how does it feel any different when you're, let's say, performing a song by singing and dancing to it versus behind the DJ booth and performing with your mixology and your blends? And the goal in both instances, right, is to keep that audience.
Sure. Indeed, it is the same thing. The two differences is when you're a performer, i.e. singer, whatever it is that you do, in that sense, when your audience is captive and they're not going nowhere. They're sitting right there, and the majority of them came for you anyway, and they know your songs, and then for that, and even if it's a song that you are performing to them, they're still more apt to listen to you because they trust you. They trust you and your brand. So maybe I should have stated that.
Wow, we're introducing a powerful concept here, in my opinion, right? It's very rare that we talk about. We talk often about the relationship of the DJ to the dance floor, in that you feed and exchange energy,
Sure.
right? The DJ gives energy through the blends and mixes and song selection, and the dance floor gives it back with their movement and their expression of joy. But the word trust is an interesting concept in that relationship.
Yes, that's what I think a lot of DJs get frustrated that are, still trying to break into the mainstream or whatever it is that they call it, or into the regular status of DJs who always get hired. Those are the ones that get hired. That's years of trust, years and years and years of trust from basement parties to the clubs to arenas to radio to records to see them on TV and all of that. That takes 20 years.
Yeah, a lot of people. And so one of the things we're doing with the Vintage House brand is to ensure the sustainability of the genre by ensuring we're bringing in younger people. One thing, I've got a young person that I raised, and many people in my friend circle have them. One of the observations we always talk about is the I want it now kind of syndrome. The expectation, the privilege of not waiting.
Yeah.
20 years is a long damn time.
It is a long time, but so is living. Especially if you're not living correctly.
According to God, God's will, if you're able.
So,
yes.
How much do you love it? Because some people you're right, they do want the instantaneous
instant gratification.
And that's going to last you an instant too. It's not going to be every time, all the time. And it's really just about dedication. If you really want to do it like that, and then it's like not everybody's going to make it. Some people, there's levels to this too. There's so many levels to DJing. It's ridiculous. So you have to be, whatever you strive for, be comfortable with. Number one, there's going to be a lot of competition. And two, there's more to it than just your skill set. There is your personality. The people, you have to like you. How about that?
I was just going to ask, what are some of those ingredients? But you beat me to the punch, and you laid it out here.
That part right there is the majority of the time. It's because
personality.
They like you. Personality and how you come off, and the music, it comes secondary for most. But they feel like they can talk with you and kick it like you and say that, all right, I mess with you. Woo, woo, woo. That's how that is, and that's just how that is. So once it becomes personal, then that's the branding, that's the trust part. That's why Mike Dunn and Terry and the rest of them can do what they do, because that's 30 plus years in the game.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, I think you just dropped some real gems of knowledge on that topic, and we absolutely appreciate that you've come out tonight.
Sure.
Thanksgiving Eve. Talk to us again about where people can preview this album, its title, and make sure if you are catching the show later that you go back to the beginning, because some of the releases were in the mix.
Correct. So the album is on my Bandcamp page. That's Steve Maestro. SteveMaestro/Bandcamp or Bandcamp. It'll pop up. And the album is called The Professional Beginner. I called it that because a lot of times in my life, I have had to start over. And then I would get to this point and I'll have to do something else. And someone in my life would always say, well, looks like you got to start over. So that became a running joke through my whole time. From the time I went into high school, into college, into service, and then back out and going to college. I went to college three different times. I went to Roosevelt 1 year. I went to DeVry for 2 semesters, and then I went to Columbia for 2 semesters. And then I got on the radio and I paid all them student loans back. So the moral of the story is
Nice.
pay back them student loans. But no, so every time I would do something and it wouldn't go in the right area, somebody, my mom or somebody would be like, well, you look like you have to start over. So that's how The Professional Beginner began, the title like that. So it was a little tongue-in-cheek joke with myself.
It's kind of hot. I mean, look, albums are, there used to be these 12-inch pieces of vinyl. Now they're digital collections that still link together to tell an important story. And so I'm glad that you've entitled the album in such a way that it tells a little more of the story of the Belizean prince, priest, Mortimer Snerd, a little Steve Miggedy Maestro sprinkled in there. Did I miss it? Any other personas?
Okay. All this whole album is self. It was written about me, about what I had been going through. So I did The God Only Knows, and I got another one called Got to Live It. And then I got my brain. I got another one called The Shy. I've got Dance of the Warrior. All these songs on here, but they're self-biography. Is that what it's called? Autobiography? What?
The memoir of Steve.
Yeah. Part one.
Yeah.
The first of 3 I'm putting together. So I did the vocal, and then I did an instrumental, and then I did the drum mixes, because drums always
spiritual, rhythmic. They're essential.
Bedrock.
Yes.
Bedrock of any message. So whenever I do releases, I always put full vocal, instrumental, and then a drum joint, because you never know. This dance. I'm a big fan of dancers and dance classes, and in high school and the Zumba and all that. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. So I like to make sure that stuff is out there for the peoples. So
where else can we check out Steve in the mix or performing live?
So every Saturday I do a show called digimixdjs.com, syndicated radio shows, every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. So it's 5 DJs, DJ Scandalous, myself, DJ Baby Real, DJ Fink, and Daniel Spencer, all of us from Chicago. And we do 2 hours each every Saturday of just the new, fresh stuff that we like, or the new, old, fresh stuff that we like, or productions or new joints. So I do that live every Saturday. And so once we do that broadcast runs through the week. So we average around 4 or 5 million every every Saturday when we do get out. And then, like I told you, the DEC TV that pops off like twice a month, so we'll have different artists come through. Nas is supposed to be coming through. J Lo, we're working on Janet. I think Erykah Badu is in there for next year. So these are the type of things that I'm kind of into, the DJ / artist / production / travel / brand ambassadors / TikTok.
Well, I'm certainly thrilled that you were able to break from those upcoming activities to join us here on the Vintage House Show. I hope that everyone tuned in feels the same. And for those of you who missed this live broadcast, you'll be able to check us out on the Vintage House Show Facebook page and Twitch page. Steve Miggedy Maestro, aka Mortimer Snerd III, and the Belizean priest. Oh, I've left out a piece.
Oh, I got
Belizean
about 5 of them I run around. I tongue-tied myself. And then there's Sir Soundbender. And then there's the group, the Beat Traders. That's why I'm going to have you do the mask.
I'm going to, hey.
Get you your mask fitted.
I'm a almost official member of the Beat Traders now.
We'll get you up on the skill level. And then, Miggedy Entertainment is the label, and so is Shelf Life Music. So I keep busy. I stay busy.
I see. Well, you are also on an episode of the Vintage House Show that we like to call the Philosophical Grooves Edition, which means we get to ask you one philosophical question, of which there obviously is no right or wrong answer, just an answer that lends insight into a little bit of who you are.
Okay.
So our question for you tonight is about ego. This has nothing to do with you personally. It is a question about your observation. Is ego, or having a big ego, a negative trait, or is it a positive trait?
Oh, man. Big egos are never good to have. Never. Everybody's going to get one. The thing is that if you have people around you to ground you, to remind you that, okay, you got that, but all your gifts have been given by the Creator. So, you're just a vessel. If you could keep yourself as humble to remember that everything that you have great about you is from the Creator, then that should help round out your ego. Because there's nothing wrong with feeling good about yourself about doing something that you deem as great. The problem becomes is when you put that too much on people who probably already look at you like that. But you should never be talking about yourself. How about that?
Well, as I said, there is no right or wrong answer, only perspective. And your perspective certainly resonates here with me. We are wishing you a happy family and food holiday. And as we move deeper into this holiday season, we wish you all the joy and peace and love. There is no life unexamined that is not worth living. On that, it's your main man Mega closing it out with Steve Miggedy Maestro and his other personas.
All of them, they in the car.
Waiting for them.
Warming it up.
Right. I definitely want to give you a round of applause for bringing the mix, for bringing the insights, and for sharing The Professional Beginner. Check it out on Bandcamp. And stay tuned next week. We'll be back for another episode of the Vintage House Show. Follow us on TikTok, y'all. We got a new behind the scenes content offering going there. And of course, we're on Instagram as well. Stay safe, everyone. The unexamined life is not worth living. Your main man Mega, and we are out with Steve Miggedy Maestro.
House Nation.
All right. We are WNUR 89.3 FM in HD1, Evanston, Chicago. Yeah.
Been there before. You know, cuss somebody out like, you're still hot. Oh!
I was actually going to try to give him a little bit.
There you go. Pop in there.
What did I put in there? Turntable too.
Two times.
All right. We're behind the scenes as we pack up here in the studio. Got a little hey in the background. You guys get a snippet of our behind the scenes content. It's also going to be on TikTok for you to check out later. I'm even going to give you a few mega moves.
But you spin it. Oh.
Yeah, I'm loosening up, y'all. I'm loosening up. Thanks for watching, everybody.
On that note, I gotta get it back on because holidays.
Yes. Let me just make sure I get a.
Snap. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Proof I was here. Yeah. I was like, you know Steve Maestro, you lying.
We got some good shots. Our intern who was with us in the past, Chloe. Me, you, and Chloe.
Right, I remember.
Yeah.
You shoot in the hallway.
Yeah. But another one for posterity. Let's get the board in.
Yeah. So 3. Rats.
One more.
Ooh, look at this.
I enjoy it, man. You always bring some type of freshness and good positive energy.
But insight,
It's a struggle out here, but again, I think you brought a mature perspective, certainly about people wanting to get put on right away. And I like the concept of trust.
Yeah,
with
it
the
is.
dance floor. I
It
mean,
is.
all that was good, fresh stuff.
We get to sit back and make an argument about it, but at the end of the day, some people get hired more than others. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Let me know if there's a lift in Bandcamp sales in the next 24 hours.
I'm gonna email it to you. I'm gonna email you the album.
Cool.
Once I get home.
I will. I'm going to use the holidays for family and food and actually trying to get back on decks myself. So I will put it to use. All right.
For sure, man. Appreciate you.
Love to Lady Rhonda and your whole family. Be safe. Getting home.
We'll wrap.
All right. Yeah, please stay in touch anytime you need.
It's gonna be more and more than often now. Now that we got an outlet, because Tyler album's coming up. I wanna
please.
that over here.
She needs to be in the studio. We did a virtual interview with her during the height of the pandemic. You guys both will be welcome back.
Yeah. I'll talk to her about it over the weekend.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Peace.